And welcome back, everybody. Final dungeon preparations are basically complete, and I want to do a short overview of what I've done between cuts in the video. It's just a second for you guys. So I spent some time leveling people up. I didn't want to grind, but I figured if my best characters were around level 37 or so, I'd try to get the majority of the party that I'm taking to the final dungeon there. And it didn't really take too long, and I'm going to show you how in a minute or two. But yeah, I've also spent the time to try to get almost all of Gao's rages. I think I've missed 4, and it may be that I never fought the enemy that triggers them. I looked them up on the print me guide that comes with Brave New World, and I think they're just enemies that we never encountered and therefore never showed up in the Veld, but they could be in the Veld if you spend enough time. I spent a long time. And I got some of these ones we've just unlocked, like Io and, what is it? It took me a long time to find Marlboro, like that one took me forever. But, I mean, I've got most of them, and, you know Gao, he's got some interesting stuff if you memorize all the rages. I don't know if he's great or not, but, you know, I leveled him up. So I just want to cover a couple things here about some of the items and some of the Colosseum trades that I have made or may make. I haven't quite decided everything. So just to go over, actually, yeah, we'll do it through this menu first. So some of the rare items. Currently, no one's got anything equipped at all, so you can kind of compare what our best gear is for various characters. The Orochi is, I think, the second or second strongest knife for Shadow, and this one, whatchamacallit. So he's got a strong against floating, strong against holy. He may have a stronger knife. Like, I'm not sure I got everything, but and plus there will be some things in the final dungeon. But those are the two for him. I think if you like, what was the one? The Kagenui gives it double attack, but I'm pretty sure both hits do half damage. So I'm less impressed by that, although it has good stats and everything, but most of the knives, the other knives that are equipable by multiple characters are weaker. So Shadow has the best of those two. I've got, so the Zantetsuken is like the strongest physical sword, not counting special type weapons. And only a few characters can use it. It's also got a ton of bonus effects. We saw it last time. It's really good looking. Crystal is our standard magic boosting weapon. The Falcon we could probably sell because it's just a speedy version of the magic version. I don't know who that would be good for. I think +7 magic is probably better than +7 speed. The Omega weapon I'll show off today in a minute, but it's fiddly. It does do armor piercing damage, so no physical defense. But it scales based on your current HP, and that can be problematic. I never really found a good use for the Soul Saber. The fact that you can steal MP with a physical attack, maybe, is good, but I find the success rate of that spell kind of... The on-hit reaction of Osmos kind of unlikely, although, I mean, it's possible. A lot of this stuff we're just holding on to for no reason, really. So that's all those things. You may be noticing that a certain knife for Locke has disappeared. Yeah, I traded it in. The deals lower damage at low HP. It does also have armor ignore, like Omega weapon, but I'm just not a fan of it. I tried it a couple times, but I don't know. We traded it for something really good. I'm pretty sure I traded it for the... I should have showed these on camera, but I spent a long time trying to back and forth. I'm pretty sure we traded it for a crystal orb that anybody can use. I think this was it, anyway. And plus 25% magic damage is great for any of our casters. And I figured that's way better than one character being able to maybe have a gimmicky attack if you're really careful. Anyway, then, I don't want to spend too long here. I think the Longinus is the best lance, or, there is another one I can show you that we can trade for. Like, there's still some trades, and I hope that's not the only way to get some of these items, but, yeah. I'm also missing, oh yeah, I'm missing the Illumina. Where'd it go? I decided that it comes with auto counter and MP crit. So if you put it on a caster like Celeste or the Ragnarok version for Terra, what ends up happening is they're in the back row trying to cast magic and stuff. And then they get hit finally, and then they counterattack and do a little bit of damage and maybe Holy or Flare on counter, which is cool. But they drain their MP, and I decided that the trade-in was better. And the trade-in for those, I'm just trying to remember as we go through, the trade-in for those was the Minerva armor, which is truly amazing armor. Completely blocking fire, ice, and lightning, which is very rare in Brave New World. Only for the girls, and great stats, plus MP 25. That's pretty amazing all around. Anyway, what else did I do? Let's see, the claws are currently on double Frost Gore. I could change this to double Lightning, but I don't know if Sabin gets anything better than that. I think I had to trade... So, the Masamune was the best weapon Cyan got from his dream sequence, but you could get the Mutsu no Kami, which you get from trading in one of Realm's lame brushes that casts haste, which is good, but like, I figured, look at the difference here, 180 damage to 210? Like, that's pretty good. I mean, the stamina probably doesn't make any difference for most of the time. Plus, counter is nice, but arrow is a really powerful spell to cast. So I figured that's cool. I never got any of the good casino weapons for Setzer, so we're cutting him. And rods don't really matter too much, so don't worry about them. I'm still missing a lot of brushes, I think, but I mean, I lost the haste brush. A lot of these you can trade back. If I decide I'd rather have the haste brush, I could trade it, but whoop-de-woo. I don't even know when I got this, but at some point I got a magic bone for Gao that gives him a bit of magic. The bone club helps his physical way more, but, you know, do what you like. I think we bought this somewhere. It has a huge amount of damage against undead, but I never use it. And the wing edge is actually pretty strong, because it gets extra chance of criticals on top of the regular crits, but it's not that amazing, I don't think. So I don't use very many of these other type weapons. And then shields, we finally, where is it? The hero shield? So I uncursed it. It took a lot of battles, 256 or something probably. And instead of coming with Doom, or whatever they call it, the countdown effect where you eventually die, it now just has auto-regen. It's way better. It's probably the best non-elemental shield, I would guess. And regen is nice, so that's good. The Aegis shield is still also very good, a little bit more evasion than damage reduction, you know, plus 10 versus plus 25. They're both really good shields. And of course, having the elemental shields is nice. And the Genji and Force shields, I don't know if the Genji shield is that great. It's built for someone who does physical damage. Well, what it's built for is a front row tank. And I never really made any tanks in this game. I like everyone to deal damage. Either physical or magical damage is the key. And just being able to take hits seems less good. I like the Force shield a lot better because of the magic power boost. And generally, a lot of the damage we take is from magic. So I sort of prioritize magic defense over physical, mostly. Then helmets. I didn't really do anything with helmets. Circlets are still basically the best if you can equip them. Plus 50% magic for any caster is friggin' amazing. And it's got good magic stats. Otherwise, Dragoon Helm still reigns champion if you're a Dragoon. Genji Helm is pretty good for the Vigor boost. And Magus Hat is the poor man's circlet. I don't know. I'm not too impressed with the helmets in general. I never really found a lot of great stuff. A lot of people just end up wearing the Dark Helm, wherever that is. Just the Dark Hood, because it has general good stats. And speed is useful, so I haven't really found great helmets for everybody. But it's no big deal. Then armor-wise, I don't really equip Force Armor very often. Half damage from elements is nice. And it's pretty good magic. I guess if you're going to be a spellcaster, but most spellcasters have better options, as we'll see. What else do we wear? I guess the light robe is like the old Force Armor. If you didn't get Force Armor, you'd use this, but the Force Armor is pretty much a straight upgrade. Genji Armor for physical defense, as you'd expect. Pretty good. This one's really nice if you're trying to be a physical attacker. And the Royal Jacket is... I had to trade something in for the second one. I think a Moogle Hide, which is a niche-specific type of armor. And we can get it back if we trade the Royal Jackets. But the Royal Jackets completely block fire and give you HP up. And are generally pretty good. So I wanted 2 for the twins. And there's a specific strategy we'll see in a second where having immunity to fire might be useful. Speaking of probably the best armor in the game, Minerva's pretty darn good. I had to trade in the Illumina sword. I assume the Ragnarok sword would also be traded in for this, probably. So either you get Terra or Celeste, an ultimate weapon that's meant for physical attacks, or you trade it for really good defensive armor that also gives MP if you don't have the circlet equipped. Otherwise, the Dragon Hide is pretty good. You can trade this for a Dragon Helm, and I almost did, because having Edgar and Mog with double jump would be nice, but it's pretty darn good armor. And I was a little bit low on good armor for, I think, Strago and Realm, and maybe Gao. So, I mean, it's got a lot of magic power and all that, which is pretty good. The Radiant Gown is still Realm's ultimate. I don't think it's that great, but whatever, it's her special. The Snow Muffler is also pretty good, completely blocking ice and wind. It's a good option for Gao, Yumaro, and Mog for sure. And then as far as the relics go, some of these we can trade in. There's probably some... I haven't really tested everything out in Brave New World, and I just kind of want to get going here. But there's going to be some really neat tricks for Black Heart that I'm sure you guys could experiment with. I haven't really played with it, but I believe you get a huge HP boost at the expense of being weak to most elements. But I think you're immune to poison, or poison heals you or something? Or no, it just says no effect, so you can't get healed by holy elemental magic. You can also not be poisoned. There's probably some tricks here. I don't know, it feels like it's got one of those combos that I'm just not seeing. I've also heard that, yeah, the Ghost Ring apparently also makes you immune to a bunch of status effects, and you could dodge some nasty, I think, sleep and maybe confuse, although I don't know. I haven't really tested these out just because I want to keep the episodes rolling. But yeah, I mean, you absorb poison elemental damage, you get killed by holy healing magic and stuff. It's interesting. I only ever got 2 reflect rings, so it's hard to pull off a reflect strategy without 4 of them for your full party. That's kind of too bad. I don't care about those anymore. I think we can trade the Zephyr Capes in, and I might do that. I'll have a look at the Colosseum trades in a second. I picked up this mystery egg somewhere. I don't actually know what it does. I haven't figured that out yet. It might be like the experience egg, where you get double experience on the character that equips it. But again, I've tried a couple things, and I just haven't noticed it, and I haven't done the math to check the EXP. Gem box is pretty good for the one person that can use it. You could trade it to a soul box for Celeste if you'd prefer. This is actually pretty good for Locke because it gives him a lot of physical damage. You know my feelings on Dragoon jumps. Power Glove is also great, and pretty much anyone can use it. Nirvana Bond is one of the best relics in the game, and it's very limited to who can use it. We can get a second one, but we have to trade something good. Black Belt's also really strong, particularly if you combo it with the Hero Ring. So if I had a second Hero Ring, which I could get, it'd be a pretty nice combination. This is perhaps another one that's the best. It's another the best, because I think it gives you shock, obviously, and I think it has another effect or two. It might give you counter or cover or something, I forget. But yeah, it's great. I feel like we've lost, like, I must have missed some, but usually you can get more than one ribbon, I thought. So unfortunately, we've only ever had one, so again, it's difficult to protect the party from statuses, and I've relied more on using Remedy than equipping status protection. I generally focus on the offense. I traded Setzer's double attack, which was terrible, for the Hyge's coin. I tested GP Toss out a bit. It's okay. It does do armor-piercing damage, kind of like Shock, but way less damage. So I'm not a huge fan, but, you know, I mean, if you like Setzer, at least it's an option. Sage of Stone is great for, well, I didn't end up with a very magical lock, and my Strago doesn't have a lot of good I feel like it's been nerfed too much. Strago or Mog or Lock need a better spell selection. Straggle's the only one I feel like gets a good use out of it with Osmos, so I generally just give it to him. But this does give somebody a big magic damage bonus. We'll see who I give all this stuff to in a minute. Magic Cube's always good. I think you can trade this for... It might be the Power Glove you can trade back and forth. We'll see that in a second. I think in the base game you can get 2 Memento Rings. Realm comes with 1 equipped, and you can find 1 to give to Shadow, which is not an option anymore. I don't actually know what its special effects are either. Again, this is another one of those ones that I've just never... I've never looked into exactly what it does. It gives you good stats, and it might give you some protection from death or something, like it should, but I don't know for sure. Rogue Cloak, I've had a hard time making that work, because the people who can use it aren't particularly good at magic, so... In fact, I don't think Lock or Shadow can raise their magic stat at all, so... Other than +5 from stuff like that. Not a huge fan. Moogle Charm's great. Control your dances and jump faster, it's great. Rage Belt, Blizzard Orb for your Sasquatch. So, just to have a quick look at some of the options, I know, I'm already... Like, this is probably going to be a fairly long episode, but it's all prep work here. And I like to cover some of the options. So you can get a second Orochi if you liked. But I think the Kaganui is rare and we can't replace it, so I'm not going to do stuff like that. I am considering getting a Mirage Vest. I have to show off what the Omega weapon does first once, which we'll do today. But I might trade it for the armor, but I don't know. The other one is the Zantetsuken, which is probably the best sword or physical weapon in the game, or tied for it anyway. You can switch to Gungnir, which is a less powerful weapon than Longinus. Like, Longinus is... What is it? 180 power or something like that? Gungnir is between... Whichever the tier is below Longinus. I think it's partisan to Longinus. The Gungnir is the one that does in-between damage, but it gives you plus 50% HP. So a great HP bonus, which doesn't matter too much if you've got the Royal Jacket on, but, you know, it's an option. I kind of like the Holy Element and the higher base damage, and the fact that I can have this and the Zantetsuken rather than having to have 2 spears that we can't use at the same time. As before, you can switch off the Frost and Stormfang to whatever combo you like. Yeah, that Ross brush is what I traded for the Mutsu no Kami. I think having a better samurai sword is better than a better brush, because we use it all the time. And then that means, unfortunately, Cyan's special Mazumune is pretty much useless. Unless you want another Avenger, which actually would do more damage. So, technically, we could go dual Avenger on Shadow and he'd hit a little bit harder. But then I wouldn't have the Orochi. I don't know, you know, whatever. The stuff like that I'm not going to worry about. The cards, I don't know. Magic Brush, I think we already have. Or if we... Do we? Yeah, we've already got one. I guess I should see what the Doom Darts are, because I think they just cast instant death, but maybe we can trade them for something else. I don't know. I never really looked into Setzer. I found him pretty weak in this Brave New World, and in general, so I haven't really used him much. What else can we see? Still hoping to get good. I'd like to get a brush with regen on it, was kind of what I was hoping, but I never found one. You can see what you can trade here if you want to trade some of this. These are alternates. Yeah, so the Hero Shield you can turn into a Nirvana Band. The Nirvana Band is really good, but so is the Hero Shield. And the Aegis Shield can turn into the Mirage Vest, which is another one that we don't have, I believe. Well, there was 2 ways to get the Mirage Vest, right? Yeah, we can trade in the Omega Weapon so far, or the Aegis Shield. I don't know. I like Auto Haste, and Mirage Vest, I think, still has Auto Haste. I can't remember. I've only temporarily traded it in once, because the Aegis Shield is really good. But, yeah, I mean, I like having those 2 around. Anything else we can trade here? You only need 1 cat hood, so what's the point? It's nice to have a set of Genji armor. I wouldn't mind trading some Force Shields or Genji Shields back and forth, depending on what you want. I think the Force Shields might be better if you're going to wear a shield, just because Auto Shell and the magic defense is probably better, but, you know, to each his own. And here you can see Dragon Helm versus Dragon Hide. They swap back and forth. The Dragon Hide is good if you're bringing someone who can equip it, but the Dragon Helm is great if you want double jump. So, you know, pick your favorite. Like I said, I swapped a Moogle hide for a royal jacket, and you can vice versa if you want. Unfortunately, the Illumina, once traded to Minerva, can never go back, so it's just force armor. But that would be a terrible trade. Keep your Minerva, unless you hate using Terra and Celeste. And yeah, like I said, Dragon Hide to Dragon Helm. This would be a downgrade, probably, unless you're never going to use Realm. Genji Helms are good, but this is the only Radiant Gown you get, I think. I don't think the Skull Cap is worth much, but I don't know exactly what it does. And I have 2 Snow Mufflers, so maybe I should test that out a little bit. I'm considering, this is one of my things, there's a few here that I've been explaining, hopefully you caught on. I'm considering trading the Death Ward for the Hero Ring. HP and MP with a good Vigor and Magic stat buff, and covering your allies could be quite useful. I mean, auto-safe shell and protection from death is good too, don't get me wrong, but I can see more combos with the Hero Ring. I could also trade in this Zephyr Cape, which I'll probably never use, for a Black Belt, which I might. Gem or Soul, whichever you prefer, Terra or Celeste for half MP. Yeah, so Magic Cubes are only MP. The Power Glove is damage, so the damage is generally better. I'm not actually sure what the Muscle Belt does. That's another one I have to test out. There's a few things I don't think I ever got any. So I doubt it's better than the Nirvana Band, but I should maybe test it out. I think the Red Cap is mostly useless. Aegis Shields are great, so are Ribbons. It's hard to say which one's better. And I wouldn't get rid of these unique items. I just got the Crystal Orb, so I'm not going to dump that. And I could see trading the Magic Cube for the Power Glove. You can switch those back and forth. Power Glove is useful for a lot of characters that, like, a lot of people can equip it. But so is having a lot more MP in a game where you have a difficult time restoring MP. I should probably change the Rogue Cloak for the Nirvana Band here. I'll probably do that. I know I'll never be able to get it back, but Sabin, Cyan, and Edgar, most of them have a physical attack, like a physical damage and magical damage. So having the Nirvana Band is good for all of them. Whereas the Rogue Cloak is... it's only useful if you can find a way to deal substantial magic damage with Locke or... what's his name? You know, the ninja, Shadow. Totally Blitz. Totally, whatever. Totally. But yeah, so I think having 2 Nirvana Bands for the real heavy hitters might be better, but I haven't done it yet. Same thing, if you don't like Mog, having a spare Sage Stone, or if you don't care about Mog's dancing or jumping, you could give... he can equip the Sage Stone, and he can get X Magic and the few spells he's got, and then that's it. So that's all for equipment, and I know I've spent longer than I meant to. Let me show you this forest, because I was going to show this off, and this is kind of my plan for the final little dungeon party. This is how we're going to build everything, I think. Unless I change out some Frostgore or some... oh, I totally forgot about Gal. Wow! Poor Gal, I forgot his relics. We'll do that on camera, because I forgot. My bad. So, I like to have one person in each party with a back guard, and, I don't friggin' know. What else does he want? It's so weird with Gal, because he's always hasted, or sorry, he's always berserk, basically. I never know what to give him. Also, I don't know, I'll just give him that, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'll figure something out. Gal is just weird for relics, that's all. So this forest has fancy dinosaur friends. And, they're pretty strong. What should I show you guys? What should I show off here for rages? There's so many. Did I find anything really interesting? I like, the Gargoyle. I can't use him right now. He casts Quake, which will hit our own party, and White Wind, which is pretty good. But as long as you're floating, Gargoyle is really solid in this Brave New World. Oh, I know what's kind of cool. We'll use Marlborough. He's got 2 neat attacks. So he's got Edgar's Bioblast, which probably is not very good in this situation. But he also has the canonical Bad Breath, which inflicts a bunch of statuses, which is cool. Otherwise, you know, Edgar's doing the same thing he's always done. The one thing I wanted to show off, though, and I hope these guys aren't immune to fire, but we've got a new spell, and I've never showed it off. So, Murton. It hits everything. It does fire damage. Well, you're not going to quite see the total effect here. But, essentially what I've done with Celeste's group... Why would the dinosaurs take fire damage? Of course not. Of course every dinosaur I've ever run into is completely immune to fire. That's great. Anyway, what I was trying to show off is that it does a tremendous amount of damage. Alright, this is another good opportunity, it's fine. I've never used Defibrillator on camera, or ever. Get defibrillated. But, I mean, Murton is honestly... well, the second strongest spell, probably. It's probably not quite as strong as Ultima. But, unfortunately, I just ran him to battle. I'll try to use it during the final dungeon a couple times. I built her squad specifically to not die to it, basically. So I had to specifically select characters that wouldn't be affected by fire. That's all. The other cool thing is Crusader is summoned for that. I know I've not shown off all the summons like I said I would. It's because we still don't have them all. But Crusader is pretty cool. I believe it's considered Poison Elemental in Brave New World. So I kind of skipped through that, but we got a lot of experience there. And I'm going to do a couple battles with all three groups, just to give you a feel for kind of how they should work. So if I was smart, what I would always do with this party is keep them floated. Most parties I would do that. And then Gao can just gargoyle it up. I tried to balance 3 different groups, which each have like one sort of liability, because I don't have 12 great characters. In this party, I'm sure you can guess who the liability is. But he's not useless, I want the rest of the team to be far more effective in combat. I was hoping for a different battle. I'll just do like 1 or 2 battles per group, just to give you a feel for how strong they are comparatively. I have tried to balance them pretty well, and everyone's about level 37, so stuff like Shock seems pretty good. There we go. When we don't get berserked and kill our allies in one attack, things seem to go pretty smoothly. We've seen Golem. I'm just like, is there anyone we haven't seen yet? I've shown you Palador. This causes everyone to just jump. Nothing too exciting. Sometimes Chainsaw gives you instant death. That doesn't happen too often. I think it's 1 in 4 or some such. Any spells? Quarter, or Holy. We probably haven't seen Holy before. Or, we haven't ever cast Holy, so... Oh, never mind. You'll never see it. But it's, one of the changes Brave New World made is it's, piercing as well. Alright, so that's, Celeste's group. Next up is Terra's group. The liability in this group is actually Shadow, sadly. But we'll see how he does. He's got the knives you would expect. I got the Mutsu no Kami and just plain old Genji gear. Although he does have the combo that I was talking about, counterattack and cover. So as long as we can keep him alive, and he's got quite a lot of HP, so hopefully that'll work for him. Pretty standard equipment for Strago. There's that dragon hide, and Terra, she doesn't get the cool hero shield and the Minerva, but she does get auto haste and a lot of elemental protection nonetheless. She's gonna get a special relic if it drops, and she's actually the one missing her final Esper, so there's one last one for her. But for now, Tritalk will be fine. And Strago got the Crystal Orb. I know it won't... I'm pretty sure it'll affect his lore. But what I was thinking was X magic plus 25% magic damage. That sounds pretty good combo, right? And then finally... Shadow has the Rogue Cloak, so this is why I maybe won't trade it for the Nirvana Band. Maybe. I have a hard time building my Shadow right now. His physical attack, well, let's see. Let's see how he compares to someone like Cyan, who's my other front row attacker for this group. The difference, of course, so hey, it's a Brachiosaur. That's the one I'm looking for anyway. So, you've got Cyan, you've got Shadow. Shadow can do about 2,000 damage. It's not bad. That's with just a plain old physical attack. So, Cyan's doing about 2.5 times, well, more than double the damage Shadow can. Now, of course, he's immune to wind. Why not? Dinosaur is just immune to fire and wind. It's typical. So anyway, Shadow's not bad, but he's certainly no Cyan. Just for comparison, I guess he's immune to wind, right? So Terra doesn't have her ultimate spell yet. So she doesn't have anything like Murton. But she does have a ridiculous amount of MP, magic strength, and all the elemental spells, so it's pretty good. I think these guys are weak to ice, actually. So, like, if we had a nice scroll, you know, that would be nice. Anyway, if Shadow has twice as many turns as Cyan, which is unlikely, their damage would be similar. Anyway, just for comparison's sake, double dark magic with Strago here. Also, the that Mutsu no Kami arrow does trigger a lot. It's usually great because it does a ton of damage, but today we're fighting dinosaurs that are just immune to all the elements. And that's one of my... It's not a complaint with Brave New World, it's just... It kind of accidentally nerfs a lot of weapons, because elemental weapons, unless you've memorized what enemies are weak or strong to what, you can really get screwed over by bringing the wrong type of weapon to the wrong dungeon. Because you just, or the wrong fight, you just can't do anything. Anyway, these Brachiosaurs do have a ton of HP. We'll get there. And so anyway, I was saying like Shadow was doing double the damage, or Cyan was doing double the damage of Shadow, and that's not counting this. The Tempest will be way stronger. So now instead of 2,000 damage, we're going to do like 10,000. That's pretty good. I've shown you all this stuff, yeah. So unfortunately, like, Strago is... I do feel like he's really limited because he's missing some of the spells he should probably have. I think the Brachiosaur is weak to ice, though. So a double cast Ice 2 is still, yeah, that's gonna outdamage Dark. That's because they're weak to it, and he's got that magic boost, so it's pretty good. This is like, I would say this team is probably not going to be quite as strong as Celeste's, but it shouldn't be too far off. And I'm sure we'll have some fun with it. Anyway, that's the fight that really gives you a ton of experience. So if you're playing along, that's where you'll get your levels up really quickly. I'm sure you could get to level 50 if you wanted. I'm not going to bother with that kind of thing. Oh, I forgot. I was going to summon Odin. We'll do that later. It's actually not... summoning him is no longer instant death in this mod. It's just damage, I think. You got Holy Elemental damage, Earth Elemental, I assume Fire Elemental, Non-Elemental Piercing, I think Poison, and I don't know. The last one's kind of special, so we'll see. But anyway, that's that group. And just so we wrap this up, this is my final group. You may notice there is no Gogo and there is no Setzer. Setzer got replaced with Umaro because I dislike him so much. The Gambling Man is not my man. I forgot to show you the equipment, but we'll do a quick fight here just to get a comparison. This is my wildcard group, and if there's one group that turns out weak, this will be it. I'm gonna do my best, but this could be the one that lags behind a little bit, because they're a little bit more random. It's just structured a little bit more randomly. Now, Umaro is a monster. He does a tremendous amount of damage, one of the highest outputs you'll see. And Locke isn't bad. He's definitely doing more damage than Shadow, so he's not quite as weak, and he's got better... Well, I don't know if it's better, per se. Yeah. So Umaro makes these fights pretty quick. berserked, and he does a ton of damage. And you haven't even seen the Blizzard Orb in action. So yeah, Umaro is nice because you don't have to really worry about his equipment much. And he does have Snow Muffler, which is pretty good armor, honestly. And a ridiculous amount of stamina and vigor, so I mean, that's fun. So yeah, Locke has Zantetsuken and Maneater. If we're fighting humanoids, he'll do a ton of damage, and then the Genji armor boosts his... So you can see, like, 98 vigor, 72 speed. I've built him into a physical powerhouse. The Thief Glove gives him 25% damage up, and... I was thinking of giving him... I didn't have any spare, but he might do well to have the Black Belt. Because sometimes his attacks can miss. Although, I think the Zantetsuken gives him counter already. So maybe he doesn't need that. But yeah, I mean, that's Locke. He seems to be turning out better than I originally thought. It's mostly because I never found a good way to make him a good magic user. So I just said, forget it. Let's just make him good at hitting stuff. And he's pretty good at hitting stuff. Realm. You know, what do you want me to do? It's Realm. I went with the Ice Guard because it gave her more magic stat. She was kind of one of the last characters to get gear, so... I think, you know, she might do well with that plus 25% magic damage accessory as well, if you had that. She's got Bahamut, which means she's got a really powerful summon, and it gives her some physical protection, because, well, you know, 24 defense isn't much. And then Mog... He's kind of got the hand-me-down lance. This would be the reason why I might trade in a different weapon to get the Gungnir rather than just the Holy Lance. But, I mean, I don't know. Mog is not my strongest character. And it's because his stats are kind of mix-matched. I never really settled on, like, one good job for him. So, like I said, this team is a little bit weird. They're not bad. But they're not... Let's cast Phoenix. It looks like it doesn't deal damage, so it's probably just Re-Rise or Life 2. But we'll try it out. But yeah, a lot of Mog's potential is wrapped up in his random dances. And a lot of Realm's potential is wrapped up in potentially random sketches. So like I said, this is... Well, that's good. Really effective. Like I said, you know, it's random. And again, that's, I think, the 1 out of 3 chance. The 2 out of 3 chance is for Meteo, which is really good. On the other hand, she confused him. Let's see what Phoenix does in Brave New World. Apparently, probably just Raise, maybe Life 2. So yeah, I mean, you know. Why is Umaro not doing anything, though? That's kind of concerning. Nice to see the crit on the Zantetsuken. It's one of the neat custom weapons that looks really cool. I believe it was just called the Scimitar originally. So one thing you could do with Umaro is not equip the Blizzard Orb and give him, like, hey, sprint shoes or something. Because, or Black Belt so he can counterattack or anything like that. It's pretty good. I'd like to see him use the Blizzard Orb. There we go. That's the Blizzard Orb special. Oh, he did it earlier. It wasn't the Tyranno casting Blizzard. It was Umaro. I thought these things were weak to ice. I wonder, it must, I guess then, I know they're immune, they're weak to ice and immune to wind, I guess. So Umaro's Blizzard happens to be ice plus wind elemental, which is a little, well, unfortunate in this situation. It's usually really good, though. It does, honestly, 9,999 damage all the time. Let's just go fight, like, one normal battle just to prove that this team isn't quite the worst ever. I think Umaro is better than Setzer because this group needed some damage output, and that's really what Umaro is here for. Because Lox is a bit weak. And Moggs is a bit weak, to be honest, too. Yeah, that's why the Black Belt might be worth it on Locke. He does miss some of his attacks. And then Mog is like my potential wild card. Sometimes he does tremendous damage. Sometimes Mog will also... That's odd. Umaro threw Mog and Mog got hit by the counter. Sometimes Mog will, yeah, there you go, that's why. If you know when to use Sketch, it's really good. But I only know a couple situations like that and Meteo. But, what I'm hoping is to use Mog as my healer for random battles, and then let Realm cover the extra healing. Like, this team is a little bit light on good heals. It does not have Terra or Celeste. Locke has healing magic, but he kind of sucks at it. Let's see what Cure 2 does, for instance. Just to get a feel for his magic stat. You know, he can heal. He's kind of my backup healer for battle. I'm hoping Mog covers, you know, a good amount of it, but... There we go. 1 in 3 chance of hitting the right target. Here we go. Please kill everything. Everything's immune to ice. I love it. Ice or wind. Blizzard is really good, but, you know, like I was saying probably 10 minutes ago. It's been an hour? Holy smokes. We gotta end this episode. Anyway, I figured I'd cover sort of... There's some damage. Good job, Locke. That's the most damage I've seen out of him. But, yeah, you know, like I'm saying, technically we also have Realm's physical attack that can heal. So it's kind of... I don't know. It's a strange combination. I think it'll work, but it might end up being the weakest of the 3 for the final dungeon. Anyway, that's all for today. Like I said, I spent a lot of time trying to build these groups up, and I still have a couple tweaks I might do. Oh, I forgot. One of the things I was going to test, I totally forgot. Let's see what Omega Weapon can do compared to the Zantetsuken. You can't equip them in the offhand, so let's see. Less stats, but yeah, okay, one more thing, sorry. I have to at least use it once before I consider tossing it. Let's go fight the dinosaurs because they're more powerful. I know I already threw away the Valiants, so... Alright. Prove your worth. Oh, that's terrible. 2,400 damage? Not enough. So, whatever the formula for the Omega Weapon, it's going to require... It's going to require... I guess we have Remedy X, too. Remedy is a... Or Regen X, I mean to say. It's definitely a good healing option. So, yeah, I was hoping the Omega Weapon might do enough damage to outpace, because I know in the original Final Fantasy VI, it had the highest damage potential, but you generally needed to be really over-leveled. But in this game, because of the level reduction, the experience reduction, or whatever it is that limits it so much, 2,400 damage is just not gonna really cut it. I assume... That's great. Blizzard Orb, completely useless. I assume if we got to level 50 and really boosted our HP to max, maybe there's a way to get the Omega Weapon to work. But for me, that was not enough to convince me to keep it. And that's keeping in mind, the damage is what it is, based on Locke's HP, and it's ignoring the enemy's defense. So unlike the Zantetsuken, which is just doing high damage, minus, I'm pretty sure it's affected by the enemy defense. Like, that's just the damage we'll always get. Against a dinosaur that has potentially really high defense, the Zantetsuken, I mean, it might do better against weaker defense enemies, like mages and stuff, whereas the Omega Weapon would not. Anyway, you know, I'm just talking about stuff. Let's see how much Cure 3 can do. We'll just win this fight and call it good. Let's use Bahamut. I don't use my summons nearly enough. So if we spend all of Locke's MP quickly, he can heal up. That's not really worth it for Cure 3. That's not a whole lot of HP for the expense. There's my Bahamut. I believe it's defense piercing. Pretty sure it is. Do something cool. Could be cool. Not enough damage. Yeah, I find like that's one of my problems with Mog, is his dances don't generally do enough damage. And it's probably because I gave him the wrong stats. I assume they're based off his magic mostly. So if you want your Mog to be better than my poor Mog, I would probably suggest respeccing him. And I could do that, I guess, technically. And just give him a ton of magic. Maybe... if you're going to be dancing, maybe a few levels of Shoat. I don't know. But yeah, give up on Palador, unless you want to be purely a Lance, a Dragoon. Probably should just go Shoat Meduin. Probably. I mean, you know, whatever. If you like dances, they're still random, but at least you... I just feel like, you know, 1,000 or 2,000 damage this late in the game, it's just not enough. Anyway, you know, thanks for hanging out. Hope you guys have enjoyed just, killing some dragons and, some dinosaurs and just having a little bit of fun, you know. I'll probably trade the Omega weapon in for the other Mirage vest. You want to see that? Nah. I'll just trade it off. If it's worth it, I'll mention it next episode. If not, we'll just go to the final dungeon. It's all good. Anyway, thanks for watching, folks. Hope you've enjoyed. I'll see you next time.